Hey guys, so today I'll be talking about DBMS, that is Database Management System. So this is very important from the point of view of your theory. So before diving deep into SQL queries and stuff, I'll just be explaining the basics, like the basic terminologies and stuff, which is very important with respect to your theory exams. So what do you mean by data? Data are nothing but the known facts that can be recorded which has an implicit meaning. So data are nothing but the facts which you can record uh, which has some meaning. So database, what do you mean by database? It represents some aspects of the real world. It is a logically coherent collection of the data with some inherent meaning and has a specific purpose, which means that it is nothing but the collection of data, which is a part of some real world, which it has some logical, coherent collection of data, which means that it is not a random collection. That is, it is designed and built for some specific purpose. Then many world, what do you mean by many world? It is some part of the real world about which the data is stored in the database. For example, like the students' grades, the student names, marks, and stuff, which is a part of some real world that is stored, that data is stored in the database. That is many world. Next, coming on to database management system. DBMS. It enables the users to create and maintain a database. It facilitates basically defining, uh, okay, just a second. It facilitates defining, constructing, manipulating, sharing, protecting, and maintaining. So it enables the users, DBMS database management system enables the users to create and maintain a database. It facilitates the defining, in the sense like defining the data, what kind of data are you storing, constructing it, manipulating it, changing the data, changing the marks, changing the names, and sharing it to other people, protecting it and maintaining it. Next comes the database system. DBMS software together with the database. So this DBMS software together with the database is known as database system. Next, the typical functionalities of DBMS. So this is a very important question. It might come like for 5 marks or something. So the typical DBMS functionalities are, if they ask you, you need to list out these functionalities such as define a database, construct, manipulating, sharing, protection, and maintaining, which comes in the other features. So defining a database, that is in terms of data types, structures, and constraints. You need First you need to define the database in terms of data types, whether it is an integer, it is a type of date, or a float, which is nothing but decimal numbers, or character type, whether it is a text type. You define the data types and the structures and the constraints. Constraints in the sense whether it is a foreign key or primary key, which you'll later study in future. And next, constructing or loading the database on a secondary storage medium. You load the database on a secondary storage medium. That is nothing but storing the database for future use. Then manipulating the database. How do you manipulate the database? That is retrieval. Retrieval is nothing but querying. You query the data, generating reports. Modifications is nothing but insertions, deletions, and modifications to its content. You modify the data by inserting the new data, or deleting the existing one, or modifying the contents, like just changing the marks. You upgrade the marks. And then accessing the database through web applications. That is, you make some web application, you develop a web application where you can access the data. And next comes sharing the database. That is concurrent processing by a set of users and programs, yet keeping all the data valid and consistent, which means that the data from the database can be accessed by multiple users, and it keeps all the data valid and consistent. It does not change the data. Other features are protection or security measures to prevent the unauthorized access. When you want the access to the data be authorized or not accessed by other people, so securing the database through unauthorized access can be done, and maintaining the database and associated programs over the lifetime of the database applications. So you basically need to store the data, maintain the data. So it's nothing but just maintaining the data for future use until you require the database. So this is a simplified database system environment. So over here, users or programmers, these users or programmers, let us consider us people, we write uh, we write some application programs or nothing but queries. So this thing comes under the database system. So these queries can be queried to retrieve the data or modify the data or access the data. So DBMS software helps in doing that. So this application programs or queries are passed to the software to process the queries or programs. Here is the software which processes the queries or programs, and then the software to access the stored data. So this is the stored data. That is metadata is nothing but data about the data. That is in the sense like there's some data called as marks of the student. So marks is nothing but integer type. It has some it's not a primary key, as everyone most of the people might have some same marks. Suppose coming on to roll number can be your primary key, so defining the constraint like primary key, and it is an integer type. So this is data about the data. So this is nothing but metadata. And then stored database, whatever data is stored, that is collection of data, is nothing but database. So this can be accessed through the software to access, then this goes on to the software to process the queries, and then the application programs or the queries retrieve it, and then it is given to the users. So this is a simplified database system environment. So DBMS is nothing but database system along with the DBMS software. Database along with the DBMS software. So that's it. Thank you.